Right. America. Land of the increasingly agitated. July 13, 2024. Butler, Pennsylvania. Former President Donald Trump at a rally. Big crowds, strong opinions. Then a gunshot. The former leader was hit. Thankfully, just his ear. The assailant, Thomas Crooks, was swiftly neutralized. This wasn't just a news story, it was a giant, flashing neon sign. Politicians started pointing fingers. Some Republicans blamed Democrats. Joseph Sullivan from the Lindsay Group said it showed rising political violence. This wasn't just a blip on the radar, it felt like a culmination. The concern wasn't just about one man's safety, it was about the safety of an entire system. A system that suddenly felt a lot more fragile and a lot closer to something truly awful. The assassination attempt poured gasoline on a smoldering fire. There's a growing belief that the US might be descending into widespread political violence or a second civil war. This isn't just fringe internet chatter, it's being discussed in think tanks and government corridors. Even Canada is worried. They've seen the deep ideological divisions and democratic erosion. The New Yorker and Politico have written about it. Divided We Fall has explored it. The idea of America tearing itself apart from the inside is a lot to take in. Are we talking about tomorrow, next year, or is it a slow, agonizing slide? The problem is nobody really knows, but the fact that we're even asking the question tells you something. It tells you that the ground beneath our feet feels a lot less solid than it used to. How does a country get to this point? Extreme rhetoric. Words have consequences. The rhetoric in America has gone from heated to molten lava. Joseph Sullivan blames the left's apocalyptic rhetoric, but it's not a one-way street. Andrew Blenkinsop from UC Berkeley notes, both sides are participating in this festival of fury. This isn't just about disagreeing on policy, it's about fundamental distrust. It's about seeing fellow citizens not as opponents, but as enemies. When political leaders and media figures feed this narrative, it normalizes hostility. The polarization is like America is two different countries sharing one very tense landmass. The reactions to the Trump assassination attempt showed this. Representative Mike Collins and Marjorie Taylor Greene's responses were more fuel on the fire. This deep division, this inability to agree on basic facts, is the fertile soil in which political violence can grow. Beyond the shouting, there's a deeper problem. Democratic erosion. This isn't just a buzzword, it's a real and growing concern that affects the very core of our society. It means the rules and norms that keep a democracy functioning are breaking down. These are the invisible threads that hold the fabric of our society together, and when they start to fray, the consequences can be dire. Think of it like termites in the foundations of a house. You might not see the damage right away, but over time, the structure weakens until it collapses. This isn't just about who wins elections. It's about whether people trust the elections at all. When trust erodes, participation drops, and the legitimacy of the entire system is called into question. Policy Horizons Canada put out a report called Disruptions on the Horizon. This report highlights the potential threats that could destabilize our democratic institutions. They listed U.S. ideological divisions, democratic erosion, and domestic unrest as potential disruptions. These are not just abstract concepts, they are real issues that can lead to significant turmoil. Joseph Sullivan identified specific movements that could be sources of violent conflict: the environmental movement, the anti-state cryptocurrency movement, oil vigilantes, and sovereign citizens. Each of these groups has the potential to ignite conflict in different ways. This erosion isn't always dramatic, it can be subtle, a changed law here, a norm ignored there, but it adds up. Over time, these small changes can lead to a significant shift in how our democracy functions. It creates an environment where rules feel optional. When the rules are seen as flexible, the very foundation of our legal system is at risk. When faith in the system crumbles, people start looking for alternatives. These alternatives can range from seeking new political leaders to more radical and dangerous solutions. Sometimes those alternatives involve picking up a pitchfork or an AR-15. This is the ultimate breakdown of trust and order, leading to chaos and violence. Alright, so we've established things are tense. But are we actually heading for Civil War II? Experts are divided. Joseph Sullivan believes a future civil war is becoming more likely. He sees the current trajectory and thinks it could really go south. Andrew Blenkinsop defines civil war as violent political conflict resulting in over 1,000 battle deaths per year. Sullivan's concern is that if the rhetoric doesn't cool down, the likelihood of organized, sustained violence increases. He imagines scenarios like clashes between ideologically opposed groups or confrontations between citizens and federal authorities. It's less Norman Rockwell, more Hieronymus Bosch. A series of smaller incidents could escalate in an environment already primed for conflict. When people are angry, fearful, and armed, it doesn't take much for a spark to ignite a wildfire. Hold on, not so fast. Why a full-blown sequel might flop. In this segment, we delve into the reasons why some experts believe that a full-blown sequel to the current political climate might not be as inevitable as some fear. Andrew Blenkinsop throws cold water on the Civil War hysteria. He's a seasoned analyst who has studied political movements for decades. He argues that a full-blown civil war is highly unlikely. According to Blenkinsop, the conditions necessary for such a conflict simply aren't present. The U.S. has some structural advantages and a history of resilience. Our institutions, while not perfect, have mechanisms to absorb and mitigate conflicts. Plus, we're very wealthy and quite socially alienated. This wealth and social alienation paradoxically act as buffers against large-scale organized violence. Blenkinsop's argument is that the U.S. is too rich and its citizens too disconnected to form committed, organized rebel groups. The lack of a unifying cause makes it difficult for any large-scale rebellion to gain traction. He suggests that modern American society isn't a breeding ground for revolutionary fervor. People are more likely to express their discontent through social media than through armed conflict. He characterized the 2024 Trump assassination attempt as an act of stochastic terrorism. This means it was a random act of violence inspired by a chaotic political environment, not a coordinated effort. Politically motivated deaths in the U.S. are still rare and don't meet the 1,000 battle deaths per year threshold. This is a key indicator used to define a civil war. The U.S. has gone through rough patches before, like the 1960s and 1970s. During these times, the country faced significant internal strife and political violence. There was significant political violence then, but it didn't escalate into a full civil war. The system, though tested, managed to hold together. The system, though battered, held. This resilience is a testament to the strength of American institutions and the underlying social fabric that, despite its flaws, has proven to be remarkably durable. Beans, bunkers, and bedlam. Prepping for the unprecedented. Some folks aren't waiting around for a definitive answer. They're taking matters into their own hands. Welcome to the world of preppers. These are individuals and communities preparing for the worst. Survivalism is making a comeback. Fortitude Ranch, founded by Drew Miller, is a network of survivalist compounds. They're now explicitly preparing for potential civil war. Members can buy a spot in these fortified locations, complete with supplies and security. Ordinary people are getting in on the action too. They're canning food and buying guns and ammunition. There's a whole subculture dedicated to this. Online forums, YouTube channels, how-to guides. The question is what this all means. Is it prudent preparation or a self-fulfilling prophecy? Does the act of preparing for conflict make conflict more likely? Canada's concerned polite noises. Our neighbors are freaking out. Canada, our lovely neighbor to the north, is definitely starting to sweat. Policy Horizons Canada report, Disruptions on the Horizon, listed a U.S. Civil War scenario. They ranked it as improbable but with ultra-high impact. This reflects genuine anxiety in Canada about the political stability of its southern neighbor. The rise of American protectionism and isolationism has disrupted Canada's economic relationships. They rely heavily on trade with the U.S., so any significant instability is a massive economic headache. A U.S. civil war is a full-blown economic migraine. The report drew parallels to Canada's own history of internal strife. They see how civil strife can manifest, especially in a post-January 6th United States. Can we all just calm down? Dialing back the doom and division. In today's hyper-connected world, it feels like every headline screams catastrophe, every debate turns into a shouting match, and every disagreement is a potential battleground. Experts warn of continued apocalyptic rhetoric like Joseph Sullivan, who says it could make large-scale violence more likely. This kind of language isn't just hyperbole, it has real-world consequences, potentially inciting fear and anger. Andrew Blenkinsop thinks the U.S. is too wealthy and disengaged for a real civil war, though he concedes political violence might still rise. He argues that while the average American might not take up arms, the increasing polarization could lead to isolated incidents of violence. What if we tried to de-escalate? Both Sullivan and Blenkinsop agree on the need to lower the political temperature. They suggest that a collective effort to tone down the rhetoric could prevent further division, to turn down the volume on the screaming match. Imagine a world where political debates are about ideas and solutions, not personal attacks and fear-mongering, to stop treating every political disagreement as a prelude to Armageddon. It's about recognizing that differing opinions are a natural part of a healthy democracy. This isn't about everyone holding hands and singing Kumbaya. It's about fostering a culture of respect and understanding, even when we disagree. It involves leaders taking responsibility for their words and actions. They need to set an example by promoting constructive dialogue and avoiding inflammatory language. Media outlets prioritizing facts over fury. Journalists have a duty to inform the public without sensationalizing the news, which only serves to heighten tensions. Citizens learning to talk to each other again, even when they disagree. It's about finding common ground and understanding that we all want what's best for our communities. The trend of civil war preparation is worth pondering. While some see it as a necessary precaution, others worry it only deepens the divide. Does it exacerbate divisions, or could it serve as a wake-up call? Perhaps it's a stark reminder of the path we don't want to go down. Perhaps contemplating such a dire future can shock us into taking steps to avoid it. One can only hope. By acknowledging the potential consequences, we might be more motivated to seek peaceful solutions. Now, if you'll excuse me, I need to go check on my bunker. Kidding. Mostly. But seriously, let's work together to create a future where such precautions are unnecessary.